More than 2,000 years ago, one of India's greatest cities stood here. Today, almost nothing remains. But in its time, Pataliputra was the powerful heart of the Mauryan Empire. Walk through its gates, and you would enter a world crowded with merchants, travelers, animals, and soldiers. Its streets were constantly moving, traders shouting, craftsmen working, and carts squeezing through crowded markets. And beside this enormous city flowed the Ganges, the river that helped turn Pataliputra into a center of power. Boats carried grain, timber, goods, and information toward the capital from distant parts of the empire. But behind the empire were ordinary families, living lives that had little to do with kings. Their mornings began with food, fire, work, and the simple struggle of getting through another day. Across the city, thousands of workers turned clay, wood, metal, and food into the machinery of daily life. Every hammer strike looked ordinary, but together, these workers were building one of the ancient world's great capitals. Because Pataliputra wasn't simply a city, it was the political center of a vast empire. Inside its palace, decisions could travel farther than most people in the city could ever imagine. Chandragupta Maurya had made Pataliputra the center of a rising power that would reshape ancient India. From here, roads, rivers, and armies connected the capital to enormous distances. Merchants carried wealth, messengers carried orders, soldiers carried the authority of the empire. But controlling such a vast empire required something more powerful than roads and army. And among its most terrifying weapons were war elephants, enormous animals trained for the battlefield. But every empire has a darker side. Expansion meant conquest, and conquest meant suffering. And no Mauryan ruler would confront that reality more deeply than Ashoka. After Kalinga, victory no longer looked the same to the emperor who had ordered it. Ashoka increasingly embraced Buddhism and began presenting power through a very different message. Every evening, the Ganges continued past the city, indifferent to the rise and fall of kings. Then night arrived, and thousands of small fires appeared across Pataliputra. Inside homes, families gathered around their fires, while the enormous empire outside slowly disappeared into darkness. But beyond those homes stood the palace, the machinery that kept this enormous state functioning. Then, slowly, the empire changed. Political power shifted, and Pataliputra began its long journey toward decline. Its buildings disappeared, its streets vanished. Eventually, much of the great city survived only beneath the landscape. Yet one thing remained unchanged. The Ganges kept flowing beside the place where Pataliputra once stood. The city disappeared, the empire disappeared, but its story survived. And beneath this quiet landscape lies the memory of one of ancient India's greatest cities.